I'm going to modify the Nano Talon from the way MRO constructed it. They had this video transmitter in here like this. The antenna was down underneath the flight controller. And hot glued in on the side there. Now, I'm no expert, but I didn't like, and I don't like these clover leaf antennas that much anymore, but we'll leave that alone for right now. Just more and more people saying that these don't work well. I saw Painless 360, a friend of his, doing some videos on these antennas. So that's a whole secondary thing. But being in the airplane down at an angle and this being right underneath the flight controller, I just don't like it. So I noticed they had a loop of wire right here where they had it attached to the flight camera right up here. Oops. Right here. It looked to me like there was enough wire without me doing any changes to move this video transmitter from down there to hot gluing it right here. And it fits well there. And then the wires, maybe hot glue it right here so I can keep those wires out, and then just have a little bit of a turn up here on the antenna might be better. So that's what I think I'm going to do. And then my wires still have enough length, more than enough length, to go from the camera. Yeah, there's still way enough length to hook back to the camera and run this wire down around there. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I want to put a pagoda antenna on it, but I don't have the correct gender. Don't want to put the thing over here because it's getting all these wires kind of in the way. One of the reasons I did this, when I put that lithium-ion battery in, there was just not a lot of room in here for it. It did fit, but I wanted it to fit better. And having the video transmitter in here on the side just wasn't working for me. Plus, they had it in this big old 3D printed transmitter holder, which is a pretty good holder, but it just added space down in there on the left to the whole mess. And then again, having the antenna in there oriented like this underneath the flight controller, I guess it's workable. I just don't like it. So I'm changing it. I'm just getting rid of this 3D printed transmitter holder. It's big. And it was pushed into the foam on these fingers to this point where it was hot glued, so it wasn't as wide as this looks. There's only the width of this area where the video transmitter was put inside of it. And then there was a hole here to get to the button. I'll be able to get to the button up here real easily in in my humble opinion. So, see what I can do here. A little bit of a crimp in my plans here. This is the capture device that you turn to hold the front hatch on. And they've got the airspeed sensor mounted right here, right next to it. So I don't think there's enough space right here for this. Boy, if I mount it this way, I think there will be. Boy, that's just a bummer to get in the way, which is probably why they didn't mount it there. Oh well, I'm going to tack it up there with some double-sided tape or something and just prototype it and see what I come up with. So I'm going to move the airspeed sensor from right there over to right here, and that'll give me the room in this area I need, I do believe. I believe that should work. Might be able to shorten the tubes or just leave them as they are. There's where I moved the airspeed sensor to, just very close by. This will give me room here in this area for that antenna, radio transmitter, whatever. Now I need to figure out how I'm going to mount the VTX. Well, there's what I did. Kind of centered this up. Here's the little button I have to use to change frequencies and power, etc. Kind of centered it up in there a little bit. It's a little bit this way because of the weight of this. Kind of wanted it even on the airplane. This is where the power and ground are soldered in. There's some shrink tubing and stuff there, and two wires go back to the power monitor connector, sensor that's right underneath here. Hard to see. Yeah, it's hard to see. So I kind of hot glued those right there just to keep them lashed down. A little hot glue there, a little right here in the corner, a little in the corner right below the camera. The wires were that much longer. That's why I noticed that they were long enough to possibly do this. And then when I didn't have to do anything with the supply voltage and ground, I said, yeah, let's do that. I like that. So now all I have to do, well, I guess the first thing we should do is test it, huh? So we'll just power it up. Oh, look at that. Transmitter appears to be working. I'm not sure about the camera. There's no light on the camera. Make sure I got that all still working. There we go. That shows that it's working. Oh, there's a little place in the bottom left of the picture there, right on the red toolbox and that foldable stool. Wonder what that is. That's unusual. Move it slightly. Huh. Yeah, that black area goes with whichever way it's turned. So that must be something on the lens. Oh, crap. There was all sorts of something on the lens, and there still is. I think it's little dirt or grass particles that flipped up when it was landing. That's why I don't fly this in the snow, mostly because of that intake right there, which Painless 360 said when he flew his in the snow. That hole itself, he said, filled the whole fuselage full of packed snow, just landing it. So that's why that's the only negative I can find flying in the snow. But I bet in that kind of cold, you can tape that shut and then go ahead and fly in the snow. I'll be experimenting with that someday, I hope. So there we go. Now it's cleaned up. I used microfiber cloth on it with a little isopropyl alcohol and then a Q-tip. Might need to hit it again with the microfiber cloth to get the haze off of it, but I think it's going to work much better. Let's see. Oh yeah, that looks much better to me. Well, wonder how long that's been on there. Okay, so that proves it's all working. The only thing I have to do is get the hatch back on now. I've been talking about it the past couple of days, but I didn't show it. That's the image in the Cyclops. Again, like I say, it's even better than the little receiver I use on my workstation here, the little SkyDroid receiver. They have 3 of those. I use one on this workstation all the time. I usually keep one in my pocket. Then I have a third one. Actually, I think I have 4. One's on the antenna tower. But no, that's the Cyclops clarity. I mean, it is crazy good. Well, for me, I also have Sky Zone goggles, Carl Zeiss goggles. This is the best I've ever seen. Now, I actually do have the DVR in these recording right now. You can see the light flashing there. Let me show you real quick the output of that. You're going to hate it. So this is the DVR that was being recorded at the same time I was showing you the other goggles with my phone. Now this is when it works. Sometimes it doesn't work at all. I think that's what killed these goggles. Everybody loves the video in the goggles themselves, but the DVR stinks to high heaven even when it works. Uh-oh, bummer. While that was on, the time period it was on, it got so warm, you can see it's loosened that hot glue. So I'm going to have to come up with a little better solution than that. I'm probably going to go ahead and get this off of here while the glue's still semi-liquid and clean it up and try double-sided tape. Is that crazy? Not sure what power the transmitter's on either. So the hot glue didn't work. There it is, installed with double-sided tape this time, and I'm going to let it heat up again and see if the double-sided tape gets soft and rocks around. If it does, I'll have to try some epoxy, I guess. Not sure I understand that, but I'll take it. I popped it up to 600 milliwatts for, didn't run it long till it got really, really hot. The double-sided 3M tape seems to be staying put and tolerating the heat. I sort of don't understand that at all, but I'll take it. I'll be running it at 600 milliwatts in the field, but we'll just have to see. Well, I did have to cut a little hole in the hatch on the left side for the antenna to come out. But the hatch went on well. Nothing seems to be in the way. That seems to be a solution for me. I don't have the center hatch on, but it still works. Don't really like the way this antenna comes out. Totally. I think it's better than being stuck down underneath the flight controller inside the fuselage, but I'm not an expert on that. I just think any kind of RF energy will induce some voltage into any metal, period. It might not be tuned receiver to pick it up and do something with it, but I think the induction of the voltage is always there. So I just didn't like it down underneath the flight controller. But now it isn't. I've got a pagoda antenna ordered. It should come Friday. Today's Tuesday. To replace this antenna. So if I fly tomorrow, which I hope to do, it'll be this way. Okay, fine. It'll probably be more this way, flying it. So that does look pretty good to me, and I think it's a much better place for the video transmitter to be installed. I do wish it was in more airflow, but there should be airflow coming through this hole in the top, but they mounted the GPS there and put a GPS in a box, 3D printed box, so don't think much air exits. Might cool the GPS, but I don't think any more gets in there. Some does leak around the camera, and some does come in the hole in the bottom. So, well, I think I'm going to go with that. That's the completed modification. I did put some, oh my God, battery tape, battery pads in the Nano Talon just to strip through the center. But now the battery compartment is more a battery compartment than it was before I started all this, and stuff like this battery will be just much easier. Much easier to get situated in there in a way that I like without that video transmitter and the 3D printed holder for the video transmitter being right over here. It was really bad. This battery has to go well back underneath where the video transmitter is, which I need 2 hands to do, so for a good center of gravity. All right, that should finish up the changes, modification to the Nano Talon. Thank you.